Okay, so for tonight's WSQ, we're going to be looking at 30, 60, 90 triangles again, which is a special right triangle. So if you remember in class this week or the past couple days, we've really been looking at 45, 45, 90 degree triangles, which, as you remember, again, are a special right. We know the legs are the same, and whatever the leg is, we know the hypotenuse is the leg multiplied by square root of 2. Okay, and again, that was what we did in class today, 45, 45, 90. And each of these angles are each congruent, 45 degrees each. Okay, well, for a 30, 60, 90, you'll notice it looks a little bit different. The biggest difference is our legs are not congruent. You'll notice one leg is short. Okay, it's really a lot smaller than the other one. This we call the short leg, and I'll just put in here SL for now. Okay, the other leg, notice is a lot longer in length. We're going to call this the longer leg. Good part is hypotenuse is not going to change. Okay, so the wording is a little bit different. I'll always refer to what's the longest leg, what's the shortest leg length. The legs are not congruent. Okay, we also have, again, different angle measures, a 30-degree angle and a 60-degree angle. Okay, the longer leg is always across from the larger angle. So there's our 60-degree angle, the longer leg, while the shorter leg is directly across from that 30-degree angle. Okay, and if you can't tell which one's the shorter leg by the angle measures, then just look. The shorter one's going to be a lot shorter than the longer leg. Okay, and the hypotenuse will still be longer than both of these. Okay, so let me show you the rules. So unlike our previous examples, again, we said the legs are different. What we're going to start with is that shorter leg. So if you can find the shortest side of the triangle, that's your first step. Okay, which on this one is just X. Okay. Now the way that you're going to do this is to find the longer leg. You multiply the leg times radical 3. So that leg is always radical 3 multiplied by the shorter leg. I should put in here, that's the short leg times radical 3. Now to find the hypotenuse, you just double, so I'll put multiplied by 2 of the short leg. Okay, so for example, let's just say this was 8, shortest leg was 8, well the hypotenuse would just be 16. The longer leg is 16, it should be 8, radical 3. It's the short leg times radical 3. Okay, so let's try another one. So you can see in this 30, 60, 90 triangle, okay, we have the shorter leg given. It tells us right in this problem. Okay, but this is definitely the shorter leg. It's the smallest side. We want to find the length of the hypotenuse. So if you think back to that, basically that diagram that I just gave you, which is kind of like your cheat sheet, you can take that short leg, multiply it by 2 to find the hypotenuse. So let's go ahead and do that. 12 times 2. The hypotenuse for this problem is 24. Okay, so it's a little different. Again, it's not square root of 2. It's just double it. Double the short leg, and it's exactly double every time. Okay, so now instead of finding the hypotenuse, let's take the shortest leg now, and let's go ahead and find the length of the longer leg. So again, if you need to use your little cheat triangle to look and see what the guide is to tell you what to do, we're given the shortest leg, that's the side here that's 5. To find the longer leg, it's short leg times radical 3. That's it. So that is the length of the longer leg. So let's try one that's a little different. We're going to solve for two sides of the triangle, and again, now we're not given a shorter leg. So now we're given the hypotenuse of this triangle. So probably the easiest is we know the hypotenuse is double what that shorter leg is. So the best way to do this problem is just divide it. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now what will that tell you? That'll tell you X. Why X? Because X is the shorter leg. And we know that the shorter leg is exactly double what the hypotenuse is. Here the hypotenuse is exactly double what that shorter leg is. Okay? Now to find the longer leg, we know we have to do short leg times square root of 3. What does that equal to? Well, we know the short leg was 4. We multiply that by radical 3, and that's our value for y. Okay, so again, we had x is equal to 4, y equals 4 radical 3. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you go ahead and try this problem out on your own. Again, it's easiest to figure out what you have first, and then go from there. So go ahead and press pause and try this one out. Okay, so hopefully you were able to figure out that this 8, again, that 8 is the short leg. Again, it's a lot longer than the other, or a lot shorter than this other leg. It's just a lot longer. Okay, so that's our short leg. So you can do this one of two ways. It doesn't matter. Let's go ahead and solve for x first. So to find the longer leg, again, it's short leg multiplied by radical 3. Well, this one's 8, so we can just multiply it by radical 3, and we're done. Let's find the hypotenuse. Again, the hypotenuse is always short leg doubled times 2. So 8 times 2 is 16, and we have x done, we have y done. Okay, so I'm going to have you go ahead and try this one. Be careful on this one. You do have a longer leg. So let's see if you can go ahead and do this by pressing pause now. Okay, so again, for this one, like I just said, you have a longer leg. So we got to go backwards to divide to get the shorter leg. So earlier we said that the long leg is equal to short leg times square root of 3. Well, this 12 already has that radical 3 multiplied inside. So we're going to have to go backwards, kind of like we did with 45, and divide that radical 3 out. So again, we'll have to rationalize it. So multiply top and bottom by radical 3. So 12 radical 3 over 3. Simplify it, okay, which is 4 radical 3. So the shorter leg has a value of radical 3. So just don't always assume that because it has a radical 3, it always is associated with the long leg. Doesn't matter, short leg, long leg, hypotenuse, any of them can have radicals associated with it. Okay, so that is our shorter leg. Let's go and find the hypotenuse now. And again, the hypotenuse is always short leg doubled. So hypotenuse would equal 4 radical 3 times 2. Okay, we can't do anything with this radical 3 here. It's got to stay just on its own. There's no other radicals to multiply by. But we can multiply the 2 and the 4. So the hypotenuse actually has a value of 8 radical 3. Okay, so that is going to be it for tonight. Again, I know I went through some of this pretty quickly, but those are the main rules. So again, we want to multiply the short leg by radical 3 to get the longer leg, double it to get the hypotenuse. If you have one of those, you go backwards. So for example, if you have the hypotenuse, divide by 2 to get the shorter leg. Or, like in this example, if we already had the longer leg, we divide by radical 3, like we did here, to get that shorter leg. Okay, so make sure to post on Schoology, get your 10 points tonight, and we'll practice this tomorrow. Have a good night.